I'm going to show you my McFarlane Series 1 and 2 of these Monsters playsets from 1997 and 1998. Another sort of beginning of the collector's action figure with McFarlane stuff. It's still borderlining on toys because these are play sets. So they had a few little functions and things, but the detail of these little figures are definitely leaning toward the collector's side. I want to go through them. They are of like the universal kind of famous monster movies. You got Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, Mummy. I'm only missing one, but it's kind of one I don't feel really fits in with the theme here. These are like 3.75 inch kind of smaller figures because we're getting like a kind of play set with each one. What was cool about these at the time is it was really like low price for what you were getting. A whole like diorama playset all painted and detailed, and then usually 2 figures. Not super articulated, but highly detailed. All unique sculpts and all the colors, and a lot of them have black wash detail on them. Made them really cool looking. But the price, they were really affordable. They were like $10 to $12 for a set. I was actually able to kind of slowly buy them up. Right around the time I was really interested in these kind of monsters, getting into Godzilla and the older films, and then branching off into the other classic monsters in film, especially with some of the modern remakes of the time happening with The Mummy or various Draculas and things like that. And their designs don't seem to be of the original Universal monsters. I'll let you know what I think they're kind of really based off of as we go through them here. I'll start with the Series 1 Werewolf playset. And of course we have the title character, the werewolf figure. So he's going to be with a waist, the arms, the legs. So that's 5 right there. We got 6 with the head that turns side to side. And I think this is like going to be a trend you'll see with this very like hunchback forward neck bend look. A lot of the characters have this for some reason, but very arched back. Makes sense for the werewolf. He's kind of got a wolfish canine arch there, still standing upright, but you can kind of bend him down. So the articulation isn't the key point here, it's just look at all the detail here of all his fur and everything. Got a sweet face here, he's got the teeth painted and the little eyes. We got the ripped shirt there that has like a black wash you can see, so a lot of stuff has that just to kind of give it that dark and dirtier look. His torn pants there, and then his kind of little dew claw bent feet there. So I like this one. This is probably the first one I bought because I was kind of going there and maybe buying them, you know, one weekend at a time or so, or however long it took to get all the ones I had. And even look, his like abs and stuff in here, but just really cool texture and cool version of the werewolf. Obviously not really Universal monster that was more man shaped. He's very like arched and exaggerated to be what maybe they wish they could do, you know, what a modern movie would do, since there's no real limitation on how you can depict your creature in your movie with computer imagery and stuff like that now. So I feel like if you wanted this for the costume, you know, you could do that front-facing thing. But most of these sets have 2 characters. This is Steve, if you can believe he has a name. He's just a hunter in the woods that might get attacked by the werewolf. The hat doesn't really lock on, it's just kind of loose on there, so you kind of have to gently place it for the display. That's an easy one to lose. Camo exposing orange so that the other hunters don't shoot you. The werewolf might get attracted to you. You gotta be careful. But I mean, it has a black wash on it. The hat. There he's got his vest and gloves in the orange. He's got the dark green underneath. Just kind of a sad old man here. Looks like he's got his glasses or shades or something like down below his eyes. It's really weird. His little balding ring there, just kind of funny. He just has some movement there, you know, the head, arms, the legs are actually solid except for this one that can pivot because some of the features here is that stuff is removable, so you can take the leg off and there's like a bone as the peg for it, so it looks like ripped off his leg. But I think when you have this on there, he does stand okay if you can get it turned just right. That's always a little bit of a problem when it has static feet, you know, there's not much to adjust to get him to stand. It is kind of a weird arm combo because they want him to be able to hold his hunting rifle that just kind of lays in there that he can hold. So for me, a lot of these like alternate characters maybe were like the monster hunters. Like he's supposed to be like the defenseless victim of the werewolf. But usually I might have them kind of band together hunting the monsters. Oh, Steve. So I can take this apart here, but I'll say I won't be surprised if some of these break as I do these videos, because these aren't really meant to be messed with too much, and I always played with mine a ton. So you'll see a few broken bits already, and I can see this is already having a hard time getting out. There again you have the bone as the peg for taking it out there, and the head can come off, and these guys stand like, well, I tried. So you can rip him all apart like the werewolf is ripping him up. Another bone in that one. And then like I showed the leg, so he can just be not much going on there for him. Oh boy. So then the other piece here is the playset itself. That again, these have like so much color and detail on the individual parts. Here we can see some bones left, and they're painted, you know, with their color and different from all the ground, and some of the vines and things are green and the wood brown. It's got this little path space here. On the side there's a tombstone kind of thing. Richard, he got what he deserved what he got. This is like a little special feature of this, that it's like removable, so you can maybe store the body in there like he's hiding the pieces after the werewolf attack or something like that. Or the hunter could store his gun there, or you know, whatever stuff you want to play there. On the back there's a bit of a hidden spot as well, so you could do something like you could even be hiding under there, or again you're just putting the body parts under the tree stump, which is like kind of the primary feature here. It's hollow, it has like a little path thing here. Secret compartment inside that's hollow on the top too. And then this part is a door. If you can look in there, there's a peg in the back. So theoretically you can put the figure hanging on it. It's a little difficult to reach inside this thing. But you can kind of pin the corpse in there, so it's like, where's Steve? It's like, oh no! And then the rest of his body parts can be in the hidden areas, you know, the back or wherever, or they're like dumping out the back and being ripped apart. Again, he's supposed to be the victim of the werewolf, so this is kind of cool that I was mostly just wanting the figures of the monsters, like having the classic monsters to use as maybe kind of bad guys or whatever, since I was very interested in them at the time. But here you were getting this little like playset, and then another figure even. So you have little battles or scenarios this way, and they're pretty detailed for the size and the price at the time. So I think with this ripped shirt and stuff, a lot of these monsters, as we go through, I think they're more based on Monster Squad, the movie, and the appearance of the monsters in that, even more so than maybe the original variations in film. Again, enhanced with like the big arch back, you know, it's not just like dude in a suit. They're enhanced versions of them, but I feel like this almost follows the Monster Squad appearance quite a bit, and you'll see the trend continue with some of the others. I do have one example still in the package here, the Dracula playset. So we can see just how big the packages were, and you're just paying $10 for the two figures and all the little playset and tiny accessories and everything. I just loved how these were presented in the package, so you could see all the things you were getting. So it is worth taking a close look at the packaging just to see what it looks like and how it was presented, and all their graphics and logos around on the packaging, and the way they describe the feature right on the front of the package as well. I got this newer one because I was always playing with mine, so I did kind of break my Dracula. He got snapped there, and among some other lost pieces and warped sections of the playset. We'll open this one up new to check out so we can see everything. One detail I did forget, that it came with this kind of fuzz around the wrought iron gate, but here we have the tape. It's like got some stuck to it, so I wonder when we open this up. I think we're just gonna lose some of the fuzz anyway, unfortunately. And it's kind of stained brown from the stickiness of the tape. I forgot that detail, but it's kind of like a weird one, and obviously fell off pretty quick playing around with the playset. But this way you get to see that it came in these parts and you had to assemble it somewhat. It comes with a real coffin. Well, what? I mean, yeah, no, it's a miniature one. I don't know why they call it real. But for this one I had lost some of the smaller accessories, like this ornate axe. The Dracula figure cannot hold. There's no like vampire hunter that comes with the hold. So this is the decorative axe. And I had lost the stake. So you can defeat Dracula yourself. Which is funny because in the original Universal movie, they just broke the door to his coffin and used that shard of wood as a stake. They didn't even like bring a special particular stake to defeat him with. So first is this kind of bat creature figure. This is alternate one. No like vampire hunter like I said. Which is a little weird considering it came with the stake and the axe. We got this little guy. Look at his tiny little feet, but then like this size almost makes him look like human size. So I don't know if you're supposed to be like, this is what this Dracula turns into, or is this just a bat creature he controls? But he has a little bit of rotation and up and down there, the head. Nothing else, but he has a hook tail because that interacts with the playset actually. And since I did already buy this before, I have mine that I originally had, and you can see it's a little bit different paint. This one has a lot more lighter bits colored in. My original one's a little darker, so I actually kind of like my original one better. Let me know which one you think looks better. But they are different the way they're done. Just more faint on the... I don't know if which one is a newer or older run off of that, but interesting to note. There's a little bit different, I mean, with the way they do some of this blackwash and stuff, each one of these is a little bit original, just the way it comes out. And for the Draculas, you can see I lost his little collar piece as well. We can look at the Dracula figure here. I just want to do, he's got one of those necks that's like forward, so we can turn this, just since it's easier to show on my older one. There's like a little blood splatter underneath his little suit coat, like he had been feeding and some dripped onto his clothes. So not a detail you'd really be able to see very much. But he has rotating hands, which I wouldn't be surprised if this one broke too. Messing around. But the hands do rotate. The arms have a little bit extra movement, which is probably why mine end up breaking. Just from maybe too much moving around there. So this collar piece just kind of sits on there. It's just extra decorative dressing for him. It comes right off like this. But it is a nice bonus detail of red, but you know, his long hair kind of blocks that suit coat we can kind of take a look at on my other one. Cloth cape that's attached to the back and his arms, so he can kind of do the spread, and you get kind of the bat wing kind of thing going on with his cape. Kind of frayed material there, even this is new out of the box. But my old one was kind of the same way. Then on the back of my broken one, you can kind of see that there was a sort of coat piece that was just glued on, and the glue has even come off. You can see the glue spot here, so some of the glue on these might have worn off, or maybe I just played with mine too much. But this way it kind of gave us a view of the back we couldn't normally see because this piece is supposed to be on there. So we can see it underneath of the newer one here, that's just attached back there, which then again makes his legs just completely immobile. He just has to be able to stand on his own. No movement there. That's probably why they put the extra movement in the arms. And then in the chest, if you look there, there is a hole where we can drive the stake in. Oh, why me? Oh, right. Because of all the sucking of the blood out of the people. That might explain it. But it is pretty cool. You can have him, oh, you got staked in the heart there. But a few options with the posing of the arms and stuff. And then in the playset, take a look. So we have the casket, which does have this like textured bit to look like a padding inside. But it's got the old hinge there. You can close it. Nice dark kind of winged face, and they're representing Dracula there, where he will rest. But the gold, not too crazy on the texture of wood like in some of the other bits of some of the other play sets, but still a good looking piece this way. The wood grain is more in just the sculpt of it than any special paint for it. But Dracula fits inside very nicely with this. And so the playset part itself, you can see it says Vlad the Impaler on the kind of plaque on here. Skulls and stuff all over around with the stone. And this is like a turning piece, like a hidden thing, like Dracula can kind of be behind there. Turn around from there. And then we have this hook that we're supposed to hang our bat friend. So we can hang upside down like a bat. Oh my gosh. What I can't really figure out are these extra knobs here. Note the two at the top here. And then this is the hook for the bat, of course. We got an extra knob here. No holes on the back of the coffin. Because it has its own spot over here. There's a little square in the dirt. And that's where you can kind of lock in the casket a little bit. I'm wondering about the knobs here. Because if I bring up my older one, There is no knobs up there, just the lower one. So I don't know what the heck they were looking for there. What is that? So I kind of like my original one more because it doesn't have those. It's really weird looking. But you can see mine kind of got like warped and bent from being stored away. And then a good example of the black wash on the bottom of mine. You can see where it ran off and put here. But obviously that's what they did with these to make them stand out with the dirty, dark looks. But we have this wrought iron gate part with this fuzz. There's supposed to be some down here. I don't know what happened. So we just have some notches on here that will go through to attach. But if you can get them through there, the gate part, little rat on the edge there, hanging out. Of course you can heat these up and kind of bend them back if you need to. I did this one a tiny bit to fix it up, but it's still got some natural warping there. More skulls and bones around the edge. There's a little mound here in front of the gate with a hole. Looks like we can kind of park the axe there, have that on display. That is pretty cool there, a little extra. Why would there be an axe here? I don't know. But then the coffin goes in that one square there. It's kind of like tilted off to the side. The bend of the gate's making it a little hard. It's occupying the space of the coffin. And it doesn't really, I mean, it fits in there, it just doesn't snap in there. So yeah, the gate is pushing it out. It's kind of weird. And then you can't really have it open, I don't think. I think you already have to have it open and maybe try to get it to stay. But some options there. You can put the coffin down or somewhere else, but that spot is really like specific to that. And the Dracula figure could be inside or just hanging out in the middle. Just saying, bring it on. So not a Dracula that looks too much like Monster Squad. These are like the 90s-ified ones. He's got his big long hair and stuff. But the same like high-end dress. This is the Frankenstein playset that comes with Igor and, hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is Frankenstein. You were all wrong. Because in Series 2, there's a whole different set that's called Dr. Frankenstein. That means the monster is called Frankenstein. Todd McFarlane would never get it wrong, so I don't know why. So for shorthand, we're calling him Frankenstein despite it being Frankenstein's monster. They didn't name the playset Frankenstein's monster. Therefore, this is Frankenstein for me. Deal with it. So because there's another second playset, I kind of have some of the little accessories mixed up here. I'm pretty sure these pliers and this like jagged bone saw is supposed to be for this one. And then here Igor is holding like a hammer and like a flask. So I think those are part of it. I was playing with these a lot, so do have some missing parts I'll have to go over. But Igor has the extreme neck thing again. Something you're going to see like in a lot of these, have this like forward neck. Not sure why they love that so much, but he's kind of his own monster in himself here. Igor got the same kind of skin tone that you'll see in Frankenstein. Got a sweet lab coat and gloves. Look, he's got a nice splatter on him there from doing some messy work, you know. He's got torso and the head, you know, but it's like forward, so it's like spinning the other way and not turning, so he's kind of always looking to the left here. But then the legs don't move at all, I don't think. I guess you get a little bit of a boot turn, but it's just like solid to have his apron piece. He has a little peg here, you can kind of like hang a tool on him, but it looks a little weird there. You would probably hang that by the handle, or maybe you wouldn't just have a bone saw on your belt. I don't know, Igor. But you can hold the various tools like those pliers and all that stuff. And Frankenstein, again with that forward neck. He's got some good stitching and stuff. Again, he's got like the black wash that they all kind of have. Igor had it too. It really like bring out all their little creases and details in them. He's got some rotate here mid-arm. Nothing on the torso just because it's solid there, but his feet can kind of move a little bit. I don't think they can swing all the way up. Got a little tear in his pants here, and he has like a spackle kind of dirty boot thing. Maybe from walking around the village. But he did have two heads, so this is the one I usually always had, and it looks like I've lost the other head. And I think I lost that because it had like a little tiny brain as well. It was more like an accessory more than what you were really supposed to attach, because that brain would sit in there and it would just fall out anyway. So this is like the intended head for the most part of the figure. This rotates because it's removable, so we have like the bone there where it's like, oh my gosh, we need to attach the arm. Good. And the head comes out, but no like special detail there. It's just a swappable head. So with the playset piece, it was like this table, and it actually had some rubbery straps to hold him in place, but since I played with this so much, they seem to have snapped off. I don't really have that. I'm just gonna have to lean the Frankenstein here, and then it has this little contraption here to attach to his head, like you're kind of bringing him to life or something with the electricity. And this piece is like kind of weird and flimsy about it, but I mean you can kind of get it in place. But I had this in storage, and so it was a little warped. I had to kind of heat it up and get it a little straightened, but you can see it kind of leaning. But again, all the pieces on the playset are really like well crafted and everything. I like the tiny little bookcase, and you could maybe put a few of the little tools and accessories inside the shelf or on top of the shelf. But it looks really cool. It's got like a register in the floor, and there's papers that are colored, a couple bone chunks and rats. It has this little side piece, stone wall, and a little bit of a iron gate window, and a skull on the outside. Oh my god. Fear. I'm not sure how exactly the table piece was supposed to work, but I might be missing a piece, maybe, to, because there's a hole here. It says something about maybe going horizontal with it, but then you wouldn't really be able to attach the helmet thing to his head either. So unfortunately I'm probably missing pieces, because I did play with this like all the time at my little desk with all the monsters and attempted heroes facing off with them. Not one strikingly resembling the Monster Squad Frankenstein, because that one still had kind of like the flat top and the black hair. We have like a bald Frankenstein here. A little bit different look. We'll see with the other Frankenstein style set, it was a good one to do like two of, just to have like more stuff for like the lab, kind of making like Dr. Frankenstein like a main focus of the line with his Frankenstein's monster here. Oh. I remember just being happy having Igor and Frankenstein from this first set before that second one showed up. Still a good display, even missing a few pieces. I thought about buying like another one, but I kind of just am okay with what I've got here. I can still kind of display them here, even if it's missing a few small pieces that you might not have seen anyway. The sequel to the Frankenstein playset here, the Dr. Frankenstein playset. Which again, I like that they had more here, but I feel like they're kind of running out of ideas. We got Dr. Frankenstein himself here, which I like this like super villain style interpretation of him. Look at his freaking sweet 90s ponytail. He does like robo, like cybernetic parts and stuff. Like his eye, and then he has the super robo fist here, holding one of the tiny little kind of vials or beakers. There's a lot of little accessories with this one for the lab. Has a sweet syringe. This end, he has a huge blood splatter on his jacket. The doctor gets up to some busy stuff here. But there you have the gloved hand, and then of course the robo hands, a little bit different there. Lots of knobs for the tools, so you can hang a lot of saws and stuff, maybe even the one from the other playset he can hold. And then just turning feet there at the bottom, because the coat is kind of like one solid piece there. Torso, a little bit in the head, but he has this hose here. You gotta be careful with that. But again, since I was playing with these a bunch as a kid, it was nice to have Dr. Frankenstein's kind of like the villain of it, and maybe have the Frankenstein monster kind of turn on him, join some of the more heroic people fighting against all these crazy monsters that way. Just like Monster Squad! I hadn't even seen it then. It's like one they never really showed on TV. I only saw that like years later when I was able to get DVDs and all that stuff. It was 1998. I think I still have VHS tapes, so come on. So a lot of cool little accessories for him, like pincers and knives, and the syringe is a really cool one. He can hold all these vials and everything, so pretty sweet looking. Crazy evil goatee and robo eyes and goggles and stuff there. I mean, all these must have had been unique the way they did the splatter, so keep that in mind. So here's where it's kind of like, whoa, we already included Frankenstein, so here's two-headed Frankenstein-y monster of some kind with tubes, ketchup, and mustard supplied. So I kind of like this, that it was like if you did, story, playing around the Frankenstein monster kind of turn, then you had this extra ones like he was trying to improve on the original with like the double head. Here's like the taller one with the skinnier arm, and then like the thicker one with the thicker arm. Is kind of cool, like Too Bad style from Masters of the Universe or something like that, like the two-headed monster. Really nasty with like the double spine, like exposed underneath. So they took some liberties here to make a new style Frankenstein monster that was actually pretty cool and scary. A little bit of almost mummy wrappings with the legs, so it's like he was trying to combine multiple monsters that he was researching or something. You could do some stories and stuff with this, but the legs are just solid on this one. And there's a little swivel there in the torso, and then the heads move, but they have that strap here. I guess there's no meat to help carry up, blood or something to the head, so they gotta have hoses to communicate for the legs. It's not any particular famous one, kind of an original creation here for this one, but still pretty sweet. It's more about the playset that we have, like the table where we raise it up to the electricity. And it has this bar that you can spin by hand, like bzzz, zapping. That's kind of fun. Again, a lot of this is assembly, so all these like pieces come off and you have to put them together and stuff. And the table was supposed to have these latches in the back so we can kind of hold it in place up and adjust it and everything. I think I've lost one of the tabs. So we probably just have to leave it down. We got the table underneath that hooks to the surface there. You can see this is held up on 4 like pegs. You can take those off, of course, and then it's just on the ground level. But it says this is combinable with the other Frankenstein playset. I don't see where it really attaches specifically. I think they just mean you can put it to the side or front and have this kind of double-decker lab, like an extended playset that way. Definitely how I'll display them, close together to give that effect. We got the shelf where you can put some of the beakers and containers and stuff. There's a hook at the top of the rack, and there's this like pile of guts. It has a little tiny loop at one end there, and you can kind of hang the guts. You never know when you need extra guts, so it's hanging up there, or you set it on this table. It's like a swivel kind of operation table, put tools or whatever on it. Interesting little piece. Tried to get as many moving pieces on this as they could. The electricity at the top's kind of funny to me. I mean, it does work, but it's just simple things, but it's so detailed and cool looking. It's a great display kind of piece. You can have Dr. Frankenstein and Igor working on their creations. The sweet 90s interpretation of them, anyway. Whoa. It's alive. The Mummy playset from the Series 2. Really love the way they spackled and kind of, not blackwash, but did like the flipping the paint. It kind of has this dirty archaeological dig up of an Egyptian tomb of some kind. Even the second figure here, this kind of Anubis style statue. It's very like realistic stone kind of painting and chips and damage on him. You can hold this staff. Imagine you're going to have him come to life, maybe an attack. Since you can take this out, there's articulation of it, of how you're going to pose the supposed statue, but the legs are solid. But here we have the head turn. He's got his little wacky head and headdress there. Little strange choice for the other figure, since it's like kind of a dig site theme. You think you'd have like an archaeologist, like kind of victim or something like that. But he kind of has trouble standing the way the feet are, and then since it's solid you can't adjust it, so kind of needs to lean against the scenery of the playset. Comes with a few little like burial jar kind of pieces there, the bigger one, and then a smaller bird-headed one there. Little symbols and stuff. Has some good detail the way they did them. Even they're just small, you can kind of put them anywhere around in the set. There's a little stripy hook kind of thing the mummy itself can hold. And of course the sarcophagus piece is really cool with all the design on it, the kind of gold finish. Again, all the textures and like the way they've colored these looks so cool just for the smaller figure set that they are. I mean, everything's colored in all different with the design of this one. And then the door is kind of like a little different hinge kind of thing to open up, and the mummy is inside. And you can even see the back of the sarcophagus has like a image painted in there with the eye and stuff like that. A lot of extra little details in these. So the mummy himself has like a sweet like broken jaw, like skull there. The wrappings even like going through the mouth, all around the head, all the loose wrappings, like pieces, like a plasticky kind of loose piece. And a few painted on just to give it different layers of all the straps and stuff on the arm, the back. So he just has like solid on one arm, and then we have a little bit of a elbow movement there just to have him kind of curled up into the casket or just to be walking like ugh. You got a fancy little loincloth there, a little flap in the back too. More of the wrappings and everything. Of course he can move, he's got the old hunch over that they do, so he just has the turning head around. But since he has adjustable legs, you can get him to stand a little better. And then he can hold that hook object too if you want him to have that. So he seems a little scarier the way he is, just reaching out at you like, yeah. So a pretty dang good one. I like the figure, especially the little extra hinge makes him creepier coming at you. So you can have him in the sarcophagus or just out. But it does surprise me they went with this kind of statue, maybe to make use of the paint and stuff they're already using for the playset, instead of doing a whole person, like the archaeological dig there. It would have been nice to have like a lady maybe investigating the stuff, but they would have had to do maybe more work that way. They went with the statue henchman guy, bang bang. The play set, of course, looks pretty awesome. It has like a feature with this little wood panel that can move back and forth. You can pop it on out. This wood, again, it's like from like the dig that they have to kind of build scaffolding so they can look around on stuff. Oh, but it's got a tab in the back. You're supposed to be able to slide it back and somebody's going to fall into this pit. And it comes with this weird snake that's going to be in the pit. It's just weird because it's like, I could never tell if this is supposed to be a two-headed snake or it's just two snakes. Just so it's like more like coming out. But he's like a bendy guy. You can kind of pose different ways. He's got some texture and stuff and colors and stuff on him. But that extra head, I'm looking, I'm following it like it's a smaller snake or something. And then they have like vines or something in between them. It's a little weird. But again, since it's like that, you could wrap it around like the mummy or the statue or something, or it's supposed to be in this like trap pit, but there's really nobody to fall into the trap, so that's where I was kind of like, I get it, but a little strange, like what are you playing with this? This is definitely more the collector thing, but they just had fun little things like that. It does have like a hole in the back, you can kind of like have the tail of the snake so you can control it. So it's going like chomp. So I don't know why they did so much like play-ish features, like what exactly you were going to do here. And then just kind of an outcropping here with some different colors and treasures, and then the statue kind of etching in the wall. Kind of put the pieces in there if you wanted, or maybe they're on each side of the other side. But above that pit is kind of the intended little slot for the sarcophagus thing. But if you wanted to pose like the statue up there and have the sarcophagus to the side, you know, there's just a lot of options with these of how you want to show it, what you want to do with them. And the paint job they did on the playset and stuff just looks amazing. Good sculpt, but then all the paint detail, the way they flecked, kind of spottedly painted it, brings out a lot of like detail. It really looks like a sandy kind of stone dig site from, you know, ancient Egypt that way. And they did kind of go just like Mummy, like, you know, when it was all dry and rotten. A lot of the Mummy movie kind of stuff, he has like the magic to be kind of coming back to life more, looking a little more human. This one they wanted like the horror of like the wrapped mummy kind of body, which makes sense. That's what everybody kind of thinks. But like that original like Universal Mummy movie, it's really only like one scene that's even like that. Then he gets a little more human form after that. But another one that looks like Monster Squad Mummy, you know? I mean, a little bit. I'm just saying. A lot of influence from maybe those versions. Just putting that out there. McFarlane might be a Monster Squad fan. This one has to be my favorite here. This is the sea creature playset. No lagoon here, it's the sea, I guess. But clearly based off of the creature from the Black Lagoon. I'm telling you, another Monster Squad connection here. Obviously this looks like a little scarier version of the one in that movie. But you can see where some of them kind of follow that design a little bit. So again, I did play with these a lot, so the arm had some kind of damage, and I've had to try and repair it. It was some pipe cleaner wire or something there. You can still see the fuzz. So I could still get the movement in the arm. But you can see it's kind of like A little more ball jointish. You can get a little more movement than just straight up and down. He's another one with the neck shooting out forward, so it's just like a turning head, like forward turn, but it's just a cool design, like to try and make him look a lot more scarier and intimidating than the original kind of round-headed straight up standing version. Got a lot of the spines and the webbed for swimming. And again, good scales, which just makes that black wash technique that they used on almost everything here, like, make it stand out so much more. Each bit. Just turning there on the legs. Well, I will say these are like kind of fragile. Something to think about for your own collection of them. But the sea creature, I love this one so much. Like, as a kid playing with it, I did make like a kind of animated movie of it. If you would want to see where my mind was at that time. This is kind of a funny time capsule. But I love this one. I love the design. He has a little bit of mid-swivel there, but what really makes this is everything in this set I really like. So you got the creature that looks really awesome, big and intimidating. Then we have our diver kind of guy. You know, I always see like the aquariums people had with their fish and they have like little diver in it. I always just like wanted one of the divers. So when I got this, I was like, I got my little diver figure now. So again, just like arm, and then the legs are like swivel instead of up and down. A little bit different. I love his old-timey kind of diver suit and then the helmet and everything. He can hold a knife. Little bit of a weapon for him. Very tight to fit in the grip. It's actually started knocking paint off the handle and stuff. But the helmet is removable to reveal the hideous face! God. They went... For some reason they were like, we had to put the hair on here. Like, this is not just dirty, like, this is how it came, like, lightly glued on hair. I don't know why they felt that was a necessary detail. But yes, turns out he is a bit of a redhead there with that orange mustache, you know? There's our diver. And so he's one of those where, like, you're meant to pop out the arm, and he has an alternate arm that's like the creature has attacked him and it's all bloody and he's like severely damaged. So you could just have this as like an arm, like another diver has gotten attacked and he's like, whoa boy. Or you can't attach it to him, so he's like, oh god, trying to fight it off like after a massive injury, you know. Probably the nastiest piece of all of them, like, my god, the bloody gore of it. I like this dude as like a little bit of a hero guy to fend off the monsters with the others, you know. Obviously the sea creature, his speciality. And he just has a little knife, but then the playset is almost like his weapon in a way too, because we can see kind of harbor style like wood beams holding up the sweet clear water piece. Anything with clear plastic like that, you know, it's like, ooh, some scummy water here. It's supposed to be sea water, so I don't know, the very dirty sea here, or maybe just kind of dark simulation here. The boat piece is like, since all these are kind of constructible, we can see the boat piece where, you know, this is the submerged part once you attach it to the water piece. We can see like inside, like they put all kinds of sculpting and detail and all of it. It's like a broken piece where like maybe his boat's already been attacked by the sea creature. Got the wheel. Obviously it's a little small in scale. It's like it doesn't quite make sense. Unless there's some piece where he's like, but why is the head of the boat like, it doesn't really make sense, the design, but just the look of it up on there, it makes sense, like. And then of course the front has this harpoon gun, where we can take out the harpoon. The tip is like a rubbery, so it's like more safe if you hit yourself with it. And then the gun is adjustable, you know, you can point it any direction. I was looking at this, I don't remember it being like this, but I think you just have to pull the thing back and let go to shoot it. There's a spring inside, but just not a button to launch the thing like a traditional kind of missile launching action figure feature. But it still can shoot, and it just kind of looks cool that it has a harpoon there like loaded for him. So that just sits down into, so it looks like it's sinking in the water a little bit. There's some planks in the back, so it's like a platform for him. Maybe it's like, again, the damaged shipwreck of his boat. But things like the posts have like the barnacles and stuff on them, and then the bottom piece is like the sea floor kind of design with some shrapnel and seaweed, shells, bones, a starfish. There's like a treasure chest with coins around. Like they went all out. There's all kinds of different colors on it. Another like higher vertical one too, like the Phantom of the Opera set is very high. Not the highest, but I like that we had this level that you were imagining, you know, this part and below is underwater and this is the above water part. So, you know, the sea creature is shooting around down here, swimming, waiting for his time to strike. So a lot of great visuals on this one, just like the rest, but felt like there was more going on here just because of the very detailed base, the clear kind of water piece, and then the whole boat. And plus the figures are really great too. So this is my kind of pick as like best one for me. No flaws. Just under 14 inches tall, the tallest playset in this Series 2 here is the Phantom of the Opera playset. I was really big into like swords at this time, so this playset kind of drew me in. Both the figures had swords, but it was also impressive on the card, showing that it was going to be a really tall playset. So we have the Phantom of the Opera. Again, he has a sword, sharp looking there with a little guard, little design. Of course, it's pretty curved again because I had these in storage. It kind of needs heated up. And he has the scabbard on the figure that you can store it too if you're not going to have him have it out. That'll kind of help straighten it out too, but you can see his kind of a luchador mask here. Got the tail in the back, nice color, purple and gold, but not the traditional Phantom of the Opera mask here with the white, you know, kind of obscuring different parts of the face. He's going lucha libre on this one, but that's of course removable, and he gets his hideous face here. And then this set introduced the soft goods here. I don't think there'd been cloth in the past one very much. Possibly Dracula's cape does have a piece. I don't think there was much more. He's got a cape. Again, that's probably just glued on, so you don't want to try removing. But again, even his outfit, you know, his suit and undercoat there, the chain, tiny details and colors all around. It's just kind of what you like to see. I mean, he's got pants where they've kind of stitched up, where he's had to repair, even though he has his fancy clothes. A little bit strange arm placements, but I think it's kind of like you're setting him up to have like the sword fight, what he's kind of going for. Here's one that has solid legs. He doesn't have any movement there. The tails in the back with the jacket. Again, all the little like stitchings showing that he had like tears and stuff in his clothes all over on the arm and everything. Little details, and he has a really cool monstery face. So, and then the extra color, since he kind of has a little bit of a fanciful flair about him too. And gold accessories. He looks cooler without the mask, I feel like, because this is the eyes don't come through too well in the mask, and then again they went luchador. I don't know why that is. Then the goat monster. What? No. For some reason this dude has a helmet. He's kind of just like the swashbuckling swordsman, I guess, that's taking on the Phantom of the Opera. I think playing with these, you know, as a kid, this probably would have been like the main kind of hero guy. Almost like a Monster Hunter Van Helsing style. I'm not sure what character he's really supposed to be, but he looks like he knows what he's doing. With his really awesome sword. Overly decorative there, but still functional with the guard and everything. A little bigger even than the Phantom. Has a little thinner, stabbier one. Maybe this is more a defensive sword for him. Just funny they had to include the helmet there. I don't know what the deal is with that. But it looks cool. Got a sweet jacket. He's got blackwash, kind of have his dirtier clothes, even though he has his nice coat and gloves. He's got a sword holster. You can see it can go through. Sheath that down in there if you just want him at ease there instead of on guard against the Phantom of the Opera. So they definitely went with like opposition hero as the second character on this one, which again drew me in. Because I was still a kid, and so horror stuff, you know, I still like to have some kind of hero that has some ability in some way to combat the horror of whatever villain is in the film. Obviously I was pretty big into superhero stuff, judging by all the other videos on the channel here. Again, the legs can't move, but I think he usually stands anywhere you place him. And then the arms can kind of balance. If he is leaning forward, you can pose him in some way with the arms back behind him a tiny bit. It's a little hard with the harder plastic jacket to move down on some of these. And then always be warned, any figure where the skin tone is painted on and it's not the plastic, very easy to chip, and then it makes his face look really crappy. I managed to take care of this one. I don't see any real big paint chips on his skin. So that's good. And so for the Phantom of the Opera, of course, is the organ below that he can be playing. His madness, I suppose. Although it's a little strange, I thought the organ was like down in like a basement or something. Here we have a balcony piece like right above it, the Opera House text, but I just I like the idea that they build it to be vertical, and then that kind of fits the sword fighting, swashbuckling like idea that looks like it's behind this little two figure, you know, like they're fighting. There's a little space of like a platform in the back, not a ton of room. Some more cloth. It's just kind of felt. So it's nothing super fancy, and it does attract a lot of fuzzies you have to worry about. But everything's like an assemble kind of thing, like the beam at the top you put into place. It has some nice details with roping and things like that on it. And it just has this really easy way to slide the bar here for that chandelier piece into the little grip. And it says it comes off like you're supposed to be able to have it be like fall on somebody like, oh, he sabotaged it to hurt someone or whatever. You know, whatever the Phantom of the Opera did. I don't know what he did. The chandelier, you know, has all these little chains and stuff. It looks cool. It looks good, except it gets a little lopsided the way it hangs sometimes. I don't know if some of the chains got twisted or what, but I don't see anything, no clear way to fix that. But a little unevenness, you know, I mean, this is a horror kind of set, so it's not supposed to look so pristine. There's supposed to be some haunting element to it. So, man, all the colors and the golds here look great. The organ is like so detailed with all the tiny keys and everything. That's what just comes through on all these, is just the detail of it, and you're getting a whole play set plus the figures. So they could have just put out monsters, but they went above and beyond, put up like display set and play, because there is features to it in some degree. So a few ways you can display it. Who's going to be down below, who's going to be up on the balcony, or do they need to be face to face having a sword fight? I think that's more the play aspect, is how you wanted to look on display. You're playing around with different ways to pose them. But one I surprisingly liked, even being maybe a less famous monster for the basis of this one. Not a Monster Squad roster member. So in conclusion, Todd McFarlane is a huge Monster Squad fan. I'm just kidding. I think these look really awesome on my shelf all together, and they kind of represent a lot of different things, and that's what like your collection is going to be doing, is representing something meaningful to you. They can just be things you really like to look at, or the beauty and quality of them or whatever, but it's kind of representing a lot of those older films, even though they're not really directly the appearances of any of them, but maybe it's just representing my interest in this time period when I was really into all the classic movie monsters. And of course everything I have here has some nostalgic element where I was actually playing with these, you know, some of my last days still playing around with toys to pass my time. Of course here I am kind of playing with them again, doing these videos about them, so maybe I never really stopped. But these are really awesome to dig out and make sure I gave them a really good display spot, because I think the whole sets turned out really great, and they have a lot of great things going for them. So still a 90s release here, and that's mostly what I focus on, is all through the 90s. A lot of the toys and stuff I got that maybe were older ones from the 80s once in a while, and a little up into 2000s, a little crossover. If that's the kind of toys you like to see, this is the place to be. You want to click right on the channel directly and look around yourself. Subscribing or waiting for YouTube to show you the next video isn't really going to help you out. You got to take charge on your own. You want to be in the goddamn club, don't you?
I'm in the goddamn club, aren't I?